don't you weep, mother, don't you mow. Hi everyone, my name is Greg Serebuoh. I was musical director of Shades from 2004 to 2005, and I'm going to be singing the tenor two-part of Mary. So the beginning of Mary is pretty straightforward. The soloist begins on a B usually, which is the key, and sings, "Well, I'm singing Mary," and the conductor will bring everyone in at once. So it'll be like, "Well, I'm singing Mary," and the group comes in. So I'm going to just get a note, and here we go. Well, I'm singing Mary. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Mother, don't you moan. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Mother, don't you moan. Pharaoh's army drowned in the Red Sea. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Mother, don't you moan. No, Mary, don't you weep. Mother, don't you moan. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Mother, don't you moan. Pharaoh's army drowned in the Red Sea. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Martha, don't you moan. If I could, I surely would stand on the rock. Moses stood. Pharaoh's army drowned in the Red Sea. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Martha, don't you moan. If I could, I surely would stand on the rock where Moses stood. Pharaoh's army drowned in the Red Sea. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. 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 Oh, Mary, don't weep. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Oh, Mary, don't weep. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Pharaoh's army drowned in the Red Sea. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Tell Martha not to moan. Okay, so some things to think about for the tenor two-part of Mary. So first, keep in mind that tenor two and tenor one parts overlap, and so it can be easy to get confused, especially because the harmonies can be pretty tight. Okay, that said, lots of things to keep in mind in terms of color and vowels. The tenor two part for me, like the way that I have experienced it, it lends itself to giving a bit more fullness and roundness to the tone. and and a sort of manly versus boyish, a sort of manly full sound. It's singing, "Oh Mary, don't you weep," as opposed to, "Oh Mary, don't you weep," or something like that. "Oh Mary, don't you weep." Yeah. Also keeping in mind Mary, I sing more Mary. "Oh Mary, don't you weep." Yeah. Martha is more Martha, Martha, don't you moan, oh Mary, don't you weep. Also keep in mind that that sort of rounded, darker, fuller sound kind of has a push and pull. So there will be moments that are brighter and punchier, and others that are kind of more smooth and silky, or rich, or maybe even smoky, depending on the voice. So, for example, Martha is a place where I lean a little bit more into that sort of rounded Martha, don't you moan, and then I'll get a bit brighter on the moan. Moan, no, Mary, don't you weep. And on the moan, here we have some vowel painting. Mo, no, Mary, don't you weep. So, mo, no, Mary, don't you weep. Yeah. Martha, don't you moan. Pharaohs, for pharaohs. Pharaohs. Pharaoh's army. Then I'm going to skip ahead to "If I Could." Surely, I surely would stand on the rock. So would, even though we're singing the same note, makes sense to pulse along with the movements of everyone else. So it would be, I surely would stand on the rock. Stand is a bit brighter and punchier. Stand on the rock. Moses stood. Pharaoh's army, we got all that. And then the next, "If I Could," the surely would is slightly extended. Stand on the rock, therefore, is tighter. I surely would stand on the rock. Okay, so that stand still bright, or brighter and punchier. The where I sing as waya instead of where, waya. And again, that's another place where I lean into the rounding so that you get this contrast between the stand and the where. So you get, I surely would stand on the rock where Moses stood. So it's almost like a loud whisper. Where. Then we have 2 sets of 8 in the breakdown section. The first set of 8, we're singing "Oh Mary, Don't You Weep," same notes. Both tenor 2s and tenor 1s are singing the same notes throughout, actually both sets of 8. We're singing the same notes for 8 in the same rhythms, which is, "Oh Mary, don't you weep. Oh Mary, don't you weep." So we sing that thing 8 times, same way. Then we have 8 more, but this one has a bunch of variations. There's the original rhythm that we were doing, "Oh Mary, don't you weep," and I should say now we're all the notes are up. "Oh Mary, don't you weep," as opposed to coming down. Same rhythm though as before for the first one, and then the second one comes in slightly earlier. So I'm gonna sing kind of this whole thing, I think. Keep in mind that it's regular rhythm, rhythmic variation, regular rhythm, rhythmic variation with a change at the end, regular rhythm, rhythmic variation with a second change at the end, rhythmic variation again, and then regular rhythm. So here we go. "Oh Mary, don't you weep," rhythmic variation. "Oh Mary, don't you weep," regular rhythm. "Oh Mary, don't you weep," rhythmic variation with the thing at the end. "Oh Mary, don't weep," and then regular. "Oh Mary, don't you weep," rhythmic variation, change at the end. "Oh Mary, don't weep, oh Mary, don't you weep," and then the regular. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. And then we go to Pharaoh's army. Other thing to keep in mind here that I like to do anyway is that on the rhythmic variation O, I like to add some vibrato. So, oh, Mary, don't you weep, rhythmic variation. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Oh, Mary, don't weep. Yeah, so oh, Mary on the rhythmic variation. I think it accentuates that a bit. That's a personal thing. I don't know if everyone does that. Then, Pharaoh's army, we've got, the only other things to keep in mind is that at the very end, we've got tail, ma, the, not, to, mo, own. The tail is more of a tail, ma. And this is another place where, particularly in the tenor 2 part, lean into that rounded sound. Tail, ma, the, not, to, mo, hone. And the hone, mahone, has a bend that will need to be coordinated with the group as a whole. I think that about covers it. So yeah. I could but